Man, how long have we been going on this? We've been going
Almost
for 2 hours, and I'm not even barely through this.
Yeah,
And
we're
surprise, surprise. There's a lot more questions.
we're on question 5.
Bama Dad, really had a great time a couple of years ago meeting you when I got to tactical response fighting pistol class. I was going through chemotherapy at the time, wasn't sure if I was fulfilling a bucket list desire at the time. One of the guys in the class rode over with me to SOE to see if he could get a belt for the class. The size he needed was the size I wore prior to losing 200 pounds and was still in my bag. You didn't have one in stock for a dude of that stature, so I gifted it to him and made him promise that he would get it resized when he lost 100 pounds. That's weird that we usually build them for guys. I didn't have buckles.
Not on a weekend.
Oh, that's probably what it was. You took time from your busy day and talked to me for a while. It was one of the high points of the trip. I got a double wide crossbody bag from you in multicam black. Man, I carry that thing with me all the time. Love it. First off, I just wanted to tell you that it is awesome meeting you, not a better dude in the tactical gear industry. I'm having to reinvent myself late in life due to being sidetracked with rehabilitation from cancer. Must say that sometimes motivation is hard to come up with. Just want to know what and where to find and maintain that drive. Must say motivation is hard to come up with. Just wanted to know what and where go to find and maintain the drive and motivation. Hey, I kicked cancer's ass and have been cancer-free for the past 2 years and looking to finish year 3 in a few months. That whole trip to Camden was a huge inspiration for me. Thanks for the part you played in it. Man, what a great comment. Would you have come out here had you not have cancer? And would you have made this comment? Like, that is part of your story right now. Nobody wants to watch a movie where the main character, just everything's great in his life. Wakes up, goes, fucking gets in his Ferrari, goes to his second house because he wants to swim in his bigger swimming pool, goes out to dinner, into movie. There has to be struggle. There has to be turmoil. It's part of the story. Nobody wants to hear about me going to prison unless I came out and did fucking awesome shit, right? Nobody wants to hear about me doing awesome shit. The awesome shit, when people are like, oh, you think you're so cool. Well, why aren't you doing this, right? I went to prison, came home with absolutely fucking nothing, started over, made $100,000 first year I was fucking home. Why didn't you do that? Right? That's part of the story. Both of those go together. So tell your story. Somebody needs to hear it. And as far as the motive, I don't know if you're asking me where I get motivation or where to get motivation. I'm not sure, but man, great story. Great comment. Thank you. I'm glad. When you coming back? Why have you not been back, right? I get it, but when you coming back out, let's have the next part of the conversation.
SRF is in March.
Self-Reliance Festival. For you guys that don't know, we had 600 people here last time. We've done it 4 times. This will be the 5th one. March
25 and 26.
25, 26. We're going to have 600, 700, 800 people here. Self-Reliance Festival. It's gardening, homesteading, how to be self-sufficient, but it's more than that. It's how to do business, right? You come up to me and tell me what you're doing. I'm going to tell you how to make more money doing it. You tell me you want more money, I'm going to tell you how to make more money. Most people, when they tell me that and I start telling them, they start telling me why they can't do it.
Yep.
That's the end of the conversation, but 1 out of 100 of those guys actually does something with it. So
the big thing for Self-Reliance Festival for me is I see people creating relationships.
Correct. Yes, there's connections being made.
Yeah.
There's 5 or 6 couples that got together, met here, and are married.
Yeah.
There's people who have come all the way here from California, met people that lived literally 15 minutes away. They never would have met because they're not in groups where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anybody anymore.
Yeah, it's like-minded people. Like you come in to find people that are just like you. And all the presentations and all the stuff inside is really cool, but the coolest part for me is like I'll know that these 2 people hadn't met before then, and then now they're friends or now they're working together or stuff like that.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. Let's take a break here and go eat. We'll come back here and film. All right, we're back for lunch. I'm going to try to get through these and stay on point so we can get through them all today. Irish USMC vet, thoughts on getting an old foot-powered sewing machine to do repairs in the worst case? My grandmother had one Although she never used it after she bought an electric Singer, any recommendations? Or just convert an electric? I don't have a fucking clue. Amanda looks at those things all the time. Every time I see a treadle one, it is not anything that's going to do what we're going to do for sure. I know what we put our machines through and how we fuck them up. I would just imagine how these small home machines, how we're going to destroy them doing what we do. Making clothing, sure. Absolutely neat idea. I think you'd be better off if you want a real machine to be able to do shit with, get a real commercial machine and then figure out how to make it treadle. Or build something with a takeoff or something that powers it somehow. Now, our machines aren't going to make clothing. They're going to tear the shit out of clothing. Our machines aren't set up for them, timed for them. They don't have the feet for them, smaller needles, all that shit. There are commercial machines just like ours. I used a commercial machine for the first few years. It was meant for doing sewing, and we made them do this stuff, but we were always breaking them. So there's different animals. It's just like a vehicle. When you start looking at sewing machines, you come in here and you see a sewing machine and just assume that it will sew whatever you want to sew. That's not the case. It's like thrying to take a little 2-wheel drive car and use it to haul freight with, right? They're different things.
Cutting a tree down with a butter knife.
Yeah, and they're different. So identify what you want to do. Do you want to, are we doing this just for in case, right? You say you want to get a sewing machine or whatever. And then you say electric to 2420. Oh yeah, that'd be neat to convert it to be able to run off a battery pack. But I mean, at the same time, if we're going to make it run off DeWalt batteries, why don't we just run a Jackery or a Blue Eddy power supply and you just charge your batteries off of solar? When are you sewing, right? If the time comes when you're sewing without electricity, you're probably farming and running security. You have a lot of things going. So how much sewing? You're going to be repairing things, building things you need. You might do it for an hour or two at night. You could just run a battery pack that's been charging all day on the solar and still run it off 110 with an inverter or whatever. Now the motor has a takeoff. You would want to use a different motor for sure instead of a clutch motor. But you just need to identify really what you want to do with it. And for the time and money you're going to put into that, would you be better off putting that money into something that you're going to use possibly even if the world didn't end, right? Do you have 50 grand sitting in your bank right now where you could just take $1,500, buy a sewing machine that you're never going to use? Or is this that you want a sewing machine and you want to learn how to start doing the craft? I wouldn't worry about the non-electric thing right now. Not at all. I mean, I've got 52 machines in here and none of them run off of no power. But I have dudes around me that could definitely MacGyver that shit, and I can run it by hand if I have to right now.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is I would focus on having enough hand sewing stuff, needles, thread, seam rippers, all that stuff, instead of worrying about a machine right off. If you're like, but Amanda, I have a lifetime of needles and thread. Maybe. I mean, I think it's a cool idea, but if the time comes where we have no power and we have to sew something, I guarantee you I'm hand sewing that shit.
Not only that, I mean, if you can't sew, you don't need a non-electric sewing machine. You need to learn how to sew right now, learn how to do what you're going to do. And it'd be way more important, rather than having a treadle sewing machine, it'd be way more important to be able to produce power for everything else you're going to do also, right? If we're going to have that conversation, if you don't have solar already, don't fucking worry. You're thinking too small. Think bigger. Josh Gilman. And I'm not saying don't do it, man. If you've done it, send me some pictures of it. I'd love to see it. We see them all the time in these antique stores. And Amanda's like, we should get this. I'm like, you're never going to fucking use it. People just give me grandpa's sewing machine. If I had people stop giving me old antique sewing machines, please give them to me, because I'm going to build a wall display that's fucking 100 sewing machines like I've seen in a couple of clothing stores. I want those. I'm not going to weld them shut or anything. I will keep them. I will care for them. But I want them as an artistic display. So start giving them to me again. If they're cool and they have like gold lettering and shit on them, they have to look antique and they have to look like they belong in a museum, right? Don't give me some rusty bullshit. I have plenty of that. But my focus is not non-electric. She sees them all the time. The reality is we won't ever fucking use them. And if the power did go out, we're not going to use that. We're going to fucking use the same machines we're using right now. We're just going to figure out how to convert them to make power another way.
And You have to know how to time those and how to maintenance them, and that's going to be a whole different animal than your brother's sewing machine that you buy at Walmart that, is all plastic.
Yeah, all those machines you buy right now, even you buy a fucking $1,500 machine at a fabric store.
It's still plastic.
They're plastic. They literally, guys, we buy 3 $1,500 machines at a time. They come in, we keep them in a box. When one breaks, we don't even try it because you can't get parts for them. They're not fixable. We could fuck around warranting them. We put them in the dumpster and put another one in. Like I have a stack of machines. We were keeping them because we were just going to like shoot them and blow them up with tannerite and stuff when we do videos and stuff. I just got tired of picking up broken ass shards of plastic and shit. We just put them in the dumpster. Josh Gilman, are you going to put these out on Fountain? I don't plan to, man. And I see what you're saying. I enjoy being able to contribute the conversation here, but I also like stacking sats. The money I would lose by putting it on Fountain is 1,000 times greater than the couple of sats you're going to make. What is a sat right now? A penny? Couple pennies?
I don't even know.
I think it is. And I'm not saying I won't eventually, but we are going to move this somewhere and migrate this somewhere, but we want to keep this a smaller family. Having it out public, like we're putting clips of it out, we're starting to trickle it out there, but that's to get you to come into the conversation, right? I don't want everybody to just be able to hear this. I don't want all this everywhere. I want people that jumped through some hoops, that you're qualified, right? I don't want 5,000 people coming to my event. Like we're never moving Self-Reliance Festival from this property. If people are constantly asking Nicole, if Nicole wants to go and set something up for people or go do something else, or if it ever got to the point we're not here, I'm out. I don't make any money doing Self-Reliance Festival. I do it because it draws a certain type and a certain group of people. And we would just start doing we'd go back to doing parties. It would just be something different. With that said, I would rather have a higher caliber, smaller group of people. Like that's where I'm moving my business model to. We're moving the business model to, it's going to be a membership to get to the website. You can see it. You can see people talk about it. They can trade it secondhand, do whatever they want to do with it. We're moving to a smaller, higher caliber group of people. And that's kind of what this is. And I know, I see Jack and all that. You must hate money. I see, take my crypto. You must hate money. Motherfuckers telling you that don't have any money. Like you don't. Like let's compare bank accounts. If we're going to have a conversation, and I'm not saying Jack's wrong, that is to motivate small-minded people. I'm well aware. I do it myself, right? Everybody wants to get there. Do you know there's a website out there? There's an app out there where you can pay Vanilla Ice $400 and he'll do a video for you. Hey man, here in sunny California and I'm hip hopping to the bip bopping and you need to get up and do what I like, right? Motivational, right? You can have the Backstreet Boys send your wife a happy birthday video, right? CT Fletcher, get the fuck up, you motherfucker. Pull your nuts out of your ass, you little bitch. Get up and get to the gym, you tubby motherfucker. Like, he'll make those videos if that's what you need. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make more money yelling at people than I am giving people real information that'll be of value to them. We're just setting up tons of different shit right now. And the SAT thing, it's for small-minded people. So before you come at me with, and this isn't to you, I don't know who this was, Josh Gilman. This isn't towards Josh Gilman. And I could be completely wrong. I know that the person putting the videos up can be tipped on Fountain, and maybe we will. Maybe we'll do something for Fountain because you can tip and leave comments. I know Jack built a whole show off of Fountain. He said he could do a whole week's worth of content just off people on Fountain, and maybe we will. But before these people come, you must hate money. Well, when you have more money than me, we'll fucking compare who hates money. Modern Day Pioneer. Hello, John and Amanda. I watch one of your videos every day. I'm always looking forward to the newest videos on the members only. And now that I am Thunderdome, I can ask questions. So what are you guys doing with the quail? The truth is, and I'll read the rest of this. The truth is, we're not doing shit with the quail. Cody wanted quail. I make fun of people that get quail. I'm like, maybe you haven't heard of this, but there's this other thing. It's called a fucking chicken, and it gives you an egg. And it turns over soil, and it fucking makes beds ready to go, and you don't have to keep it in a cage, and it doesn't make noise. When I walk out here at night, I'm like, what the fuck was that? It's like a little dinosaur.
They sound like fucking dinosaurs.
It's cool, but it's like a motherfucker that buys a smart car. you want everybody to look at you and say you're, good for the environment or whatever the fuck it is. But do you ever see a motherfucker in the smart car and you're like, that's a sexy motherfucker right there. I want to suck his dick, right? You ain't never seen a hot chick with a motherfucker in a smart car. You see a little demasculized dude driving a fucking smart, and that's quail. Like, it's cool, have it, use it to prove concept. I get it. You sell it because it's niche and people think they can't have chickens in their neighborhood, but they can hide some quail. Okay.
I don't know how the fuck you're going to hide quail. They are loud.
It's a lot of work, right? So what is really the market of quail? The market of quail, what's the byproduct that you could sell? You could sell pickled quail eggs. You do purple nurples, right? You could do little beet, pickled quail eggs that are purple. I could do way more chicken eggs.
It takes so many.
I could sell raw chicken eggs and make way more fucking money than selling quail. They're very easy. Now let's go on. My wife decided she wanted quail. Now I have to put together a rabbit hutch and convert an old rabbit hutch into quail cages. And we have about 50 quail. We are eating them and eating the eggs and selling eggs. And we have already hatched several eggs. And we also will be selling breeding pairs, 4 females and 1 male. So I'm curious what Cody is doing with his eggs. That's awesome. Cody, I don't know. The real truth is I don't know what he's doing with them. I go over there to make sure they're alive, and they're always great, and they're taken care of and everything. That's cool. But couldn't you make more money with chickens and have less? Maybe it's more work with chickens, maybe. But chickens you can just let out. They don't go anywhere. Nothing's like chickens would kill quail. Like, you couldn't have quail out. You have to keep them in cages. And clearly you're already doing this, but quail is very easy. They actually do better in a smaller group. Not smaller volume, smaller size cage. I'm amazed when I see these prefab cages. And when Cody brought these things in here, how small they are. I'm like, you're going to put 4 quail in that, a male and 3 females or whatever. They do great. They are fine. So
I'm curious, does he say how his wife decided on quail?
Yeah, I mean, quail's cool to add to something else just because it's niche.
Yeah.
Here's these eggs right here. Here's these little tiny eggs, right? How do you? It's cool because it's on. You could put it on a menu, right? You could put the quail. They have these little silicone discs, so you could take and crack your eggs and cook 3 quail eggs in this little tiny silicone ring, like an egg muffin egg. But you could do that with chickens, right? But everybody knows what a chicken egg is. So the quail is kind of it's that niche market. Is there something better about it? If you're doing a lot of quail eggs, they make a machine. It's a couple $100 that actually cracks them. It actually peels the eggs for you. So that's something to look at. Pete Tony, hope all is well. I own 2 chest rigs, 6 mag and 8 mag stacked. Those are real rigs, real warfighter rigs. Similar in size to an old Eagle RRV Rhodesian Recon chest, which is no longer made. There's a reason it's no longer made. If possible, would you entertain a build to make an SOE version of the RRV with a front and back panel that can hold 2 plates and full molly? Nah, we're not going to do it. The RRV is modular. I'm completely aware of what this is. The RRV is modular as it can be converted to a chest rig by folding the flap in. Yeah, it's got a picture where we have a zipper. It's got a Velcro flap, comes up, and it has a harness. So your plate is partially exposed right here. In the beginning days, they were doing that prior to these slick armor carriers and these low pro jumpable plate carriers and stuff. The old ones are going to be extreme prices for old and used pieces and no back panels. Yeah, no, we're not going to do it. You might see us come out with a panel assembly that clips in that's a little more robust than our H harness that has a kind of H harness built into it. So hydro carrier type deal back piece. You will probably see that integrated into our new scalable, been around for a couple of years, but not brought to market. We've built 24 or so of them. We show pictures of them. We're just so busy building what we're building.
I don't know what that is, but the way he described it,
it's a bigger rig.
And it can be just a chest rig or a plate carrier.
Yes.
My first thought is that one of those things where it works for both, but it's not great at either?
It's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's back in the 90s, even pre-90s, when all of the chest rigs were coming out, and they were big. HSGI had a fucking chest rig that weighed 5 pounds before you put anything in it. There was a dude, Blankenship, was building custom rigs for Recon right about the time we met up with Lance and those guys. And his rigs were cool. There was so much fucking to them. They were so intricate. Everything was dummy corded and 550, and everything had little buckles and Velcro and buckles. Just insane, the amount of work that was in these things. And he was just a shop with a few people. They couldn't make a lot of them. They weren't charging nearly enough for them. And it was features that you didn't use. Like, you could just dummy cord it, right? We didn't have to sew 550 into all this shit because a lot of guys didn't use it. Yeah. But we have a grommet in the bottom. You want something dummy corded in there, tie 550, knot it off, tie it to your item. Now, like, it's just more labor, right? The most expensive thing is labor, and attention to detail. Vince Vega and Pete, if you're in a very small group of people looking for these. So if you're looking for these, you're in one of these groups that's looking at like 1990s special operations equipment. There's a group, right? I'm assuming that's where you're seeing this, or you're seeing it go on eBay. If you watch the eBay groups, and there's some Japanese groups. Yes, they're carrying very high dollar. They're going to collectors. If you put those in the 511 store in Nashville,
they're not going to
sell. They'd sit there. They wouldn't buy them. And you could completely prove me wrong, but I know my market pretty well. Vince Vega, gearing up for the cold weather, as you mentioned in the last video, you say the straw turns like cement with the poop and pee. Does it eventually break down into soil that is usable, or do you have to get rid of it? So that's on rabbit cages. So everything now is, oh my God, you have to have 1/2 inch by 1 inch wire for foot savers, and the babies won't fall through. So that's what's happening, right? When you have small wire, straw won't fall through it. Poop won't fall through it. You have a rabbit that just shits in the corner. Some rabbit, like, you can train rabbits very easily to use litter boxes. So if you have a rabbit that's shitting in the corner on wire, it'll build up with the piss and the fur, and it won't go through. So if you're not going through and cleaning your cages frequently, now you add straw, and in a period of a week when you're really cold, that straw, they're peeing and pissing, and you got multiple. I keep multiple rabbits in cage. I do everything that people on the rabbit places tell you not to do. And I produce a fucking ton of rabbits. Lady here, I can't remember, Rudder, what's her name? Sheila, messaged me last night. I gave her a few rabbits, and I'd made a thing about, I think Brandel named it the fat die out first or something. I don't remember the video that went up, and she watched it, and she's like, man, thanks to finding you, we're 100% self-sufficient. We're okay. Our finances are good. We now have 60 rabbits. And I'm like, shit, how many rabbits did I give her? 3, 4 maybe? She's got 60 rabbits now. She's got a garden. She's canning. Everything, like, she's retired. Like, they're good.
She makes really good cherry pies.
She makes good, she made all those cherry pies when we did an international. And I hit her up, and I'm like, hey, you want to build some cherry pies for International Cherry Pie Day? And she's like, I can't do it. And then she came back. She's like, I thought about what would John say? He's like, you only get one chance, right? And she's like, okay, we'll do it. And then the lady that was helping her do it backed out. So she did them all by herself. Yeah. She made all those cherry pies we sent everybody, all those homemade cherry pies. She did those. So it was just cool, like, how many rabbits she made just from a couple rabbits. And it wasn't even a year ago probably that we gave her a few rabbits. So that stuff, and let me tell you too, this year we didn't put straw in the cages. I didn't even put tarps over the cages. Each rabbit cage had a nest box in there that they could get in if they wanted to. Every day of the year, I've got a couple rabbits that are always in their nest boxes. They just live in the nest box. They come out to pee, they come out to poop, come out to eat. But even with the extreme cold, all of these rabbits, none of them, like a couple of them were in their nest boxes. I have 2 rabbits. I have some nest boxes that have no bottoms on them. So they kind of they pull all their fur out, make a nest in there. But I have 2 rabbits that turn their nest boxes over sideways, and I ride them and put them back in the corners where I want them. And every morning I come out, those nest boxes are sideways, so they air on both sides. The rabbit's just in there, and the box is sideways catty corner, always. But we didn't do shit this year. We did for the chickens. We put straw around all the, and you'll see a video in a month or so coming out, all the straw. We brought in probably $600 worth of straw again this year. We put it around all the chicken coops. We didn't put any straw in rabbit cages, nothing. I've got tons of baby rabbits. I've got rabbits that had babies while it was frozen. I've got rabbits still having babies right now. The water bottles were freezing, like block solid ice. We changed everything from water bottles to bowl. We did that for about a week. Today, I actually used the hoses instead of pitchers to fill water and put all the water back in water bottles. Took all the bowls out. We'll probably have freeze again here. We'll have a cold winter again this year. But right now, we didn't do shit. And there's motherfuckers that are like, I'm using heat lamps. I'm putting a heater. I put tarps around the shed.
I brought them inside.
Yeah, I brought them inside. Tons of people. I'm in these rabbit groups. It drives me fucking crazy. But I get a lot of pleasure out of it too. That's how dumb society is. Those people that are doing that, like this is right now is when shit burns down. Yeah. You have dust, you have straw, you have wood shavings, and now you've got a heat lamp, or you've got a space heater, or even I saw open flames. I saw people with fucking kerosene heaters out there, right? You have animals. I just heard somebody on Bears thing talking about they moved, they pulled everything into one room, put all the blankets and beds in one room, and they were able to heat that room 20 degrees hotter from candles. And then she talked about, but we had to keep our toddler, he was real restless. Our 2-year-old was really restless, and my wife was breastfeeding a baby. So you had everything in the room combustible and open flame. Like, you're very lucky.
And a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
These are the stories you hear. The cold killed these poor people and their house burnt down because they had fucking open flames. Yeah. That's why.
Because they did something foolish.
That's what the question before, or a while ago, was, what do you think is happening to these people in parks? I was going to say, we can't underestimate how stupid people are.
Oh, yeah.
People go out and they don't know what they're doing.
We're talking about the national parks?
Yes.
Yeah, but the number's insane, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm saying part of it, just like this.
Yeah, some of them are just dumb people or poor luck, bad circumstances, things happen, I'm sure in a national park there is something happens and a giant tree limb crushes somebody every year. But there's just too many people going missing for that to account for any kind of percentage of them. Jeremy, so the straw with the poop on it, it will break down and just become soil. Absolutely. It's just when it's on the wire. So there's a video, if you watch our Day on the Compound videos, there's a video from last year, maybe a little bit before a year ago. Because we put straw in cages last year. And then Traden and I, the kid that was working here, we pulled those cages out, 2-3 cages at a time, took all the rabbits, put them in bins, and started pulling all that concreted straw out of the cages. Even in the tractors, we put straw in the rabbit tractors last year, and it did the same thing. We had to pressure wash that to get all that shit out of there, and then we finally had to pull the rest of it out just by hand because it's fur, it's poop, it's pee, it's straw, and it's just in that wire, and it gets down under the wire, and then it soaks around the wire. That's what the problem is. Like, you guys need to realize they used to thatch pig houses, right? If Wartime Farms by BBC, great show. They also had one called Tudor Farm, and there's several of those series, right? But one of them, they took all these willow branches because they needed to make a pig pen, and it was very cold. Winter was coming. They made this pig pen, and they take these willow saplings, and they take them and they put them vertical, and then they weave longer willow whips through them, and they take pig shit. Literally pig shit. They take the pig shit in the mud and they slop it on this framework of willow on the inside and the outside, and it becomes concrete, and it lasts. Like, you can see it today where they did it hundreds of years ago. If it had any kind of cover over it or anything, right? It's still there. They used to stucco with this shit. It's in effect the same thing. It's urine, it's piss, and it's straw. And they would make 100% concrete hard wall out of this stuff. So it's the same thing, really. Jeremy Wilson, I think you talked briefly before about this, but if you had not moved to Tennessee, is there another state that you would have checked the boxes that Tennessee did for you guys? I don't know the answer to that, man. If right now, where would we go? Somewhere else in Tennessee right now if we were going to leave here. Florida looks really good, but I don't want to live in Florida just because of the freedoms of Florida. What I know over the last couple of years, I would probably look very closely where Bear is, within 50 miles of where Bear's at, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma has weather that's almost identical to here.
I would look at Oklahoma. I don't think there's any mountains there. I don't think there's forests or woods there. I could be completely wrong, but because I trust that Bear moved there and he's doing kind of the things we want to do, just on a bigger scale probably. But I think he has the same problem with employees that we have. I could be wrong. If you look at Bear's people, they're not indigenous people. They are people that came there because of Bear. And that's our guys. Our guys came here because of us. Nobody said, I want to go to Camden, Tennessee. Our women, they live here. They're from here. Some of them did move here from New York to come here and work for us. But I don't have anything on my radar, man. I'm really not thinking about it. It's literally, I could war game that all the time, but I'm better off putting my energy and thought into something that's productive immediately for us.
So the answer is no, not really.
Evan Dixon, Ham Radio Made Easy. What's up, buddy? Have you heard of or tried Profit First? No, I never heard about it until you just said this, which I read the other day. I heard a few business owners recommend it and just read the book. Money comes into the income account and then is divided based on percentage into profit, owners, compensation, operating expenses, and taxes. The idea is to prioritize and grow profit and ruthlessly control expenses. Some advice I've heard you give about moving money into the account and taxes sounds similar. I am considering implementing it for Radio Made Easy and my website development work. So, yes, all the money comes into operating, and then 33 cents of every dollar goes to the IRS when you're getting started, especially, right? And then you can move it into payroll. You can have payroll. You can have another account for your chef, for instance, right? He does all the cooking, all the food that comes into the business. Depending what scale you're at and what your accountant is going to tell you that you can't write that off, and a lot of it you can't. And then there's other people that are like, you should set 10% of everything you make away right now and start putting it into your retirement account. And you can. But I'm of the belief that if you're going to do this and make this work, and I know you've got a family already and everything, but I think you need to buckle down. Everything goes to business. You don't work 5 days a week, you work 7 days a week. And as a business owner, if you're really going to make it, you work 10 days a week. You don't work 40 hours a week, you work 80 hours a week. You work all the time, and it's very important too that in that 80 hours you're actually doing things that matter, not just picking up and moving things around and being there, right? You actually have to do things that make a difference, and it's accumulative. And if you put that time in, I say it's 5 years, because I've heard people way larger than me say 5 years. If you can do this for 5 years, and that's the most important thing in your fucking life for 5 years, it's the difference to making $1 million a year and making $100,000 a year. People are focused on, when you start out, they want to make $1,000 a week. I want to make $1,000 an hour. And that's low compared to everybody that I'm fucking dealing with, right? And you need to know what that looks like. And I know people are like, I have kids and I'm going to miss my kids' life. Our kids were here. Our kids were here growing up the whole time. Everything we did was work. All our fun is work. Everything's incorporated. You just have to decide where you want to take this, what it's going to look like, and what it's going to do for you. And do you still want to be beholden to somebody else? Or in 10 years, do you want to just be like, I'm stopping this. I don't owe any bills. We've made enough money. My money's making money.
I think prioritizing profit instead of quality is the wrong way to go.
They can be both. They can be the same thing.
No, they can't.
Explain.
Because if you prioritize profit, not quality, that means you're going to take shortcuts when it comes to your employees, your products, the things that go into your products, your shipping. You're going to take shortcuts in order to have a bigger profit. However, if you prioritize quality and good customer service and growing your base and putting that profit back into your company, you're going to make more money overall than if you're just like, oh well, I used this $5 part to build this radio to begin with.
I don't think that's what he's talking about.
Read it again because that's what it says.
I think he's talking about being sure that he is profitable, making money, and not just losing money, right? Like he could come into our business and save us a ton of money on shipping,
I'm sure,
and our website and implementing things that we're just not looking at. While maybe that's what it says, that's not what he means.
It specifically says ruthlessly control expenses.
Right, as in don't have a bunch of bullshit that you're not fucking using.
Maybe.
Don't buy a bunch of packaging that you no longer use.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't, stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it.
Trying to